All praises to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and peace to everyone joining us on this program. This is the Fountain of Israel Bible Studies program. And as always, it's an honor for me to stand before you on the Lord's Holy Sabbath day. So the title of this lesson is Continuing in Faith and Hope. Continuing in Faith and Hope. You know what we've already had this year, right? We've had the El Paso shootings, the Dayton, Ohio shootings, the stabbing, guy go on a stabbing spree, it'll be a little while by the time this particular lesson is uploaded. But we know these are the type of things that has happened so far this year. Okay. And so many different things could happen to us, in our lives, and we're unprepared or we don't think about it because until it comes knocking on our front door, we don't give it a whole lot of thought. There's a lot of, when you go through trials and tribulations and certain punishments and things like that, we don't give it a whole lot of thought until it is happening to us. Okay. Because sometimes when it doesn't happen to us, we should take it as a warning. Okay. And then when things happen to us, there's a time where you have to continue in your faith and your hope when things happen. See, it's real easy to say when everything is nice and calm, when everything is great, everything's going swimmingly, it's real easy to say, oh, I have faith. But the evidence that you have faith is when things they don't seem to go your way and you continue and you still have faith. That's the only thing. I mean, I'm not going to read Job or anything on this one, but we already know the story. I'm not going to have Job in this particular lesson, but we know the story. No matter what happened, he did not want to curse God. He didn't want to bring a railing accusation. He didn't want to do any of that. He just maintained his faith, No matter how much bad things were happening to him, losing his children, losing his wife, losing his possessions, losing his health, losing everything, literally everything you can lose, internally and externally, everything you can lose. That's what he was losing. And he maintained his faith. So in this world, it says there will be tribulation. We will have trials. We will have things that will test us and push us and half the time feel like it's going to ground us into powder. But will you continue to have faith? Will you continue to have faith? Though I'm here right now, to encourage you. I just want to encourage you. We have to continue in faith and hope. That means we keep our eye on the prize, as it were. We keep our eye on the prize to understand when we're at our lowest, when we are down, when we are beaten up, when we are downtrodden, when life kind of kicks us in the gut. Remember where your hope comes from. Remember to have faith. Remember that your hope and your faith, there's a power in it as well. It's that little bit that'll help you keep going. That little bit to help you persevere. Just that little bit of faith, that faith of the grain of a mustard seed. You can do something with that faith. And we all know without faith, it is impossible to please God. It's impossible to do it. You have to believe. And we're going to look at some of this and some of the verses here. But let's look at Hebrews 11:1. I just want one verse real quick. Let's go to Hebrews 11:1. And I want you guys to take a look at this. Hebrews 11:1 says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Faith is also one of the gifts of the Spirit as well, when you go look at that. Okay, that's one of those things, just having that faith, that unwavering faith. And I know sometimes we get weak sometimes. I understand our faith seems to wax and wane. I understand that. I get it. We're all human. But it is possible to mature your faith to where it is unwavering. It is possible to do that, and it takes a lot of practice. Okay, the only time your faith comes into question and practice is when things are down, when things are not going well. That's when you know how much faith you have. When the pressure is on, that's when you know what is inside of you. When you squeeze an orange, what comes out? Orange juice. We know what's inside will come out. So when the pressure's on in life, what is inside will come out. Just remember that Isaiah 64. Let's go to Isaiah 64 if you will. Isaiah 64. And I really just want one verse. That verse will be verse number 6. But we are all as an unclean thing, and all our righteousness are as filthy rags. And we all do fade as a leaf, and our iniquities, like the wind, have taken us away. And this is one of the things that diminishes our faith, when our iniquities take us away. Even sometimes if you go to the opposite side, see, there's two ends of the spectrum here. On the one end, we can have our iniquities or our sins, and we can get so lost in our iniquities and our sins, and it will take us away. It's taking us down a path of destruction. Okay, and sometimes when we sin, some of us, we feel so unworthy because our righteousness is that of filthy rags. We feel unworthy, so we don't even want to talk to the Most High. We don't even want to talk to our Messiah. We don't even want to talk to the Spirit. We don't want to do it because we feel so bad. We feel so unworthy, or we feel like, okay, he's not listening to me, because we are so entrenched in our iniquities. And then on the other hand, we get so arrogant and we think, oh, I'm righteous. I got this right. I mean, I'm right up there with the patriarchs. I'm up there with Abraham and David, and I'm up there with Elijah. You know, that's my faith. I have faith of the patriarchs and stuff like that. Now, obviously, we should always try to strive to get there. But some of us think we are there. We have arrived. We don't have anything to work on. We're just perfect. And I mean, without spot. And then you get taken away with that too, because at the end of the day, your righteousness is a filthy rag. So either end of the spectrum is not a good place to be. Being on the path, striving in, maintaining your hope in your faith, maintaining your humility, being humble, because God resists the proud. But maintain your hope. Go with me to 1 Peter. Chapter 4. And when we get to chapter 4, I'm going to read, or start reading at verse 12. 1 Peter 4 and 12. Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. But rejoice, insomuch as ye are partakers of Christ's suffering, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. So he's saying, look, all these things that's going to happen to you because bad things happen to you. And that's one thing that we do. That's the prime time when we give up on the Messiah. That's when we do it. That's when we're like, okay, nah, this is not it. This is when people walk away from the faith. This is the prime time when people walk away from the faith. They walk away because this is not working. He's not listening to me. I don't believe in this stuff. But basically, your faith is gone. You don't have faith in it. Because these bad things happening to me. Well, if God is with me, then why are all these bad things happening to me? It's the all too familiar refrain. But he said, don't worry about that. He said, but rejoice insomuch as ye are partakers of Christ's suffering. And remember, this guy, the Messiah, is spotless. He did nothing wrong, and yet he suffered. You and I, we did plenty wrong, and we suffered. Keep that in mind. That when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. Continuing in 14. If ye be reproached by the name of Christ, happy are ye, for the spirit of and glory of God rested upon you. And their part he is evil spoken of, but on your part he is glorified. Yeah, the other people don't believe in the Messiah and stuff. You got people out there, they don't believe this Bible, or they don't believe the New Testament, they don't believe any of this stuff. But you're gonna suffer. He's letting you know ahead of time, okay? Okay, people are gonna come against you. Okay? They're letting you know 2,000 years ago, they was letting you know. You're going to suffer for the cause of Christ. People are going to call you all kinds of names. They'll call you crazy, you kook, crackpot. They're going to call you all that. People are going to say something about you. Just letting you know. But it's the evidence that you're with him. That's your evidence right there. He knows you're with him. 14, if ye be reproached for the name of Christ, happy are ye, for the spirit and glory of God rested upon you. And their part he is evil spoken of, but on your part he is glorified. But on your part, coming from you, he is glorified. That suffering that you're going through, he is glorified. I'm going to drop down to verse 19. Wherefore, let them that suffer according to the will of God commit the keeping of their souls to him in well-doing as unto a faithful creator. So you just keep it going, continuing in your faith and your hope. Continue in your faith and your hope. Keep going. Keep going. Persevere. This is a marathon. The marathon is longer for some who gets to live longer and be full of years. Sometimes that marathon's a little bit shorter. There's different length marathons. There's a half a marathon, 13 miles. There's a full marathon. Cross country. It just depends. It just depends on how long you live, but it is a marathon. This is until you die. Okay? This is until you die. Continue in your faith and your hope. Let's look at something over here in Lamentations. Right after Jeremiah. Let's go to Lamentations. Right after Jeremiah. Nestled right between Jeremiah and Ezekiel. So Lamentations, and we're going to look at chapter 3. And so we're going to look at some suffering here, because you know how they say, Jeremiah, the weeping prophet and stuff. We're going to look at some suffering, and then we're going to look at ultimately how we should do it, because you're going to, let me just give you the news in case you haven't got the email, the memo, or the text message. You're gonna go through something. Something tough is gonna happen. Some of you guys watching right now, you are going through something right now. Some of you watching, you just came out of something. So something is gonna happen in the future. You're gonna go through something. It's gonna be tough. It's going to try you. It's gonna test you. But I'm asking you, where's your faith? Where's your faith? That's the question here, okay? So let's look at Lamentations, and I'm gonna start at verse 1. It says, I am the man that has seen affliction by the rod of his wrath. We all have. We've seen that affliction. He wants us to go through it for a particular reason, so we can get a particular lesson out of it, or he's trying to develop something from us or within us, but we've all went through something. Verse 2, he has led me and brought me into darkness, but not into light. Surely against me is he turned. He turneth his hand against me all the day. My flesh and my skin has he made old, and he has broken my bones. He has builded against me and compassed me with gall and travail. He has set me in dark places as they that be dead of old. He has hedged me about, and I cannot get out. He has made my chain heavy. Also, when I cry out and shout, he shutted out my prayers. So you would think that the Lord's just punishing him like he hates him or something. But he doesn't. This is part and parcel. This goes with it, brothers and sisters. We're going to keep going. This goes with it. He has enclosed my ways in hewn stone, and he has made my paths crooked. Okay, so I'm going to jump forward a little bit, because we're going to come back to that. We're going to jump down to 15. He has filled me with darkness. He has made me drunken with wormwood. He has also broken my teeth with gravel stones. He has covered me with ashes. And thou hast removed my soul far off from peace. I forget prosperity. And I said, my strength and my hope is perished from the Lord. My strength and my hope has perished from the Lord. I'm about ready to give up. I'm about ready to give up. It's too much going on. It's too many things going on right now. There's no way that the Lord is with me right now. I give up. I give up. Remembering mine affliction and my misery, the wormwood and the gall, my soul has them still in remembrance and is humbled in me. 21. This I call to my mind, therefore have I hope. It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. Remember that. Amen, amen. 23. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. Are we understanding? Great is thy faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, said my soul. Therefore will I hope in him. Therefore will I hope in him. You should be saying the same thing. Many of you need to come back to these particular scriptures. Okay, Jeremiah's talking about all these bad things that are going on, that are happening, and yet my hope shall remain in him. I'm just trying to encourage you. I'm trying to encourage you. 25, the Lord is good unto them that wait for him, to the soul that seeketh him. It is good that a man should both hope and quietly wait for the salvation of the Lord. Come on. 27, it is good for a man that he bear the yoke in his youth. That you got to put up with something while you're young. You have to bear the yoke in your youth. Things are going to happen. Let me just go ahead and break it to you again. Things are going to happen. It's how you deal with it. 28. He sitteth alone and keepeth silence, because he had borne it upon him. He put his mouth in the dust. If so, there may be hope. 30. He giveth his cheek to him that smiteth him. He is filled full with reproach. For the Lord will not cast off forever. But though he cause grief, yet will he have compassion according to the multitude of his mercies. For he does not afflict willingly, nor grieve the children of men. To crush under his feet all the prisoners of the earth. To turn aside the right of a man before the face of the Most High. To crush under his feet all the promises of the prisoners of the earth, to turn aside the right of a man before the face of the Most High. To subvert a man in his cause, the Lord approacheth not. And 37. Who is he that says, and it come to pass, when the Lord commanded it not? Out of the mouth of the Most High proceeded not evil and good. That's a question. Therefore, out of the mouth of the Most High proceeded not evil and good. Wherefore doth the living man complain a man for the punishment of his sins? Let us search and try our reins and turn again to the Lord. Let us search and try our reins and turn again to the Lord. Pull the notes back up. Let's go on over to 1 King 19. 1 King 19. 1 King 19. Let's see here. And when we get to 1 Kings 19, I want to start actually at verse 1. 1 King 19 and verse 1. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and withal how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, saying, So let the gods do to me, and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. So there's some threats going on. And when he saw that, he arose and went for his life and came to Beersheba, which belonged to Judah, and left his servant there. Okay, so this guy, he's worried at the moment, okay? Because you know you got Ahab, you got Jezebel in charge right now, so there's some worry going on. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a juniper tree, and he requested for himself that he might die. He's like ready to give up, and said, It is enough now, O Lord, take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers. He's like, okay, I'm done. I can't do this, Lord. Just take me away, because I cannot put up with this. I just can't do it, right? So now, y'all hold your finger right there. Let's go to Lamentations real quick. Let's go back over there. Okay, and from there, I'm going to start at verse, it's going to be chapter 3, but I'm going to start at verse 19. So just keep your mark right there. Chapter 3, and I just want to start at 19, okay? Because he was about ready to just give up, okay? In verse 19 in Lamentations, it says, Remembering mine affliction and my misery, the wormwood and the gall, my soul has them still in remembrance and is humbled in me. This I recall to my mind, therefore have I hope. It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassion faileth not. Because his compassion faileth not. Okay, so let's look at that. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, said my soul. Therefore I hope in him. For the Lord is good unto them that wait for him, to the soul that seeketh him. For the soul that seeketh him. It is good that a man should both hope and quietly wait for the salvation of the Lord. Let's look at this. Now, go back to 1 Kings 19. And we're going to pick it up at verse 5. 1 Kings 19 and 5. And it says, And as he lay and slept under a juniper tree, behold, then an angel touched him and said unto him, Arise and eat. And he looked, and behold, there was a cake baking on the coals, as a cruse of water at his head. And he did eat and drink, and laid him down again. And the angel of the Lord came again the second time, and touched him, and said, Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee. Okay, so you guys notice that, verse 8. And he arose and did eat and drink, and went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of God. Okay, so because he's ready to give up. Okay, he was like, you know what? Just take my life. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm done. Right? But he know this is a man of God, and God, his mercies continue just when you think you are at your low, just when you think all hope is lost, then God comes and aids you. Because you maintain some level of hope. You maintain a little bit. You maintain something. And that's all I'm trying to encourage you to do. Maintain, brothers and sisters. Maintain. Maintain. So let's go on over to Matthew 13. New Testament, Matthew 13. When we get to Matthew 13, I would love to pick it up or start reading at verse 3. And he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went forth to sow. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. Some fell upon stony places where they had not much earth. And forthwith they sprang up because they had no deepness of earth. And when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprang up and choked them. But others fell into good ground and brought forth fruit. Some of 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. Who has ears to hear, let him hear. Who has ears to hear, let them hear. And I'm going to drop all the way down to verse 20. Okay? Drop down to verse 20. But he that received the seed into stony places, the same is he that heareth the word, and anon with joy received it. Yet hath he not root in himself, but endureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, by and by he is offended, because it's going to happen. He's offended. 22. He also has received seed among the thorns, and he that heareth the word, and the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful. Meaning you ain't gonna do anything about it. Soon as somebody says, look, you can have your faith and everything's good, you can get around, you get around other people, or you get around like-minded people. It's easy to maintain your faith. It's easy to maintain your culture. You're being, everybody's reading from the same sheet of music. Everyone's doing the same thing. That's easy. And then you get around people who don't necessarily share your faith, and now you're hush hush. Now you're quiet. You're not living, the cares of the world, the opinions of others. That is what matters more to you. Where's your faith? All of a sudden you don't believe anymore because someone thinks a little different than you do. So where's your faith? And like he was saying, when you have the cares of the world, the deceitfulness of riches, it chokes the word. All of it is out, and you become unfruitful. You ain't going to do anything about it. You're not going to maintain your faith. You're not going to maintain your heritage, your hope, your tradition. You're not going to maintain any of that because it's not popular. It's yours. It's you and your people. And now all of a sudden, your faith is gone. And that's why this lesson is continuing in faith. Continuing in faith. Because see, here's the thing. It's one thing to have faith. Oh, I have faith, the Messiah, stuff like that. But it's another thing if you don't anchor it to something. And what I mean by that is that I believe in this because. You got to have your because. Your why has to be big enough. I want you to imagine the kingdom for a second. And let's just say it's whatever you want to imagine it to be. Okay, whatever you say. I mean, scripture is like, the roads of gold and all that big New Jerusalem and all these stones, the sapphire, onyx, and the berkel and all that. I get it. I get it. But what do you imagine a kingdom? Okay, and I said kingdom. I didn't say heaven. I said the kingdom. Whatever you imagine that to be, then you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Because if it's not worth it, okay, if having access into the kingdom, if immortality, no sickness, no death, none of that stuff, no crime, none of that, being able to commune with the Messiah and the Father at the same time, whatever it may be. I'm not trying to build it for you. I'm just telling you that's what the scripture says. Okay, so if that is not worth it, if that's not big enough, you will not continue into this. You will not. If your why is not big enough, you will not continue in this faith. Because the scripture gives us enough to hope, and enough to have some faith and have something to have faith in. If you don't have that, if you don't have your why, you're not going to continue. It's not going to happen. Ecclesiastes, if you will. Ecclesiastes chapter 11. Ecclesiastes chapter 11, and then when I get there, I want to read verse 7 and 8. Ecclesiastes chapter 11, 7 and 8. 7. Truly the light is sweet, and a pleasant thing is it for the eyes to behold the sun. Now check out verse 8. But if a man live many years and rejoice in them all, yet let him remember the days of darkness, for they shall be many. All that cometh is vanity. So he's just saying, you better remember where you came from. Remember those dark days? You remember those dark days? Remember those days when it was humble? When you were really, really humble, when you were barely trying to make it? Some of us remember that. Remember those dark days? I remember the days where I had no place to stay. I remember those days I stayed in a truck. Literally, that's all I had. I owned a truck, a beat up old truck, and I lived in that. And I remember those dark days. That can humble you. Remember that. He said, but if a man live many years and rejoice in them all, yet let him remember the days of darkness, for they shall be many. All that cometh is vanity. I remember the days when I didn't have anything to eat. That can get pretty dark. Days. Barely anything to eat. Nothing. See, I had days where I had zero to eat, and I had days where I had very little to eat. Scraping the bottom of the peanut butter jar, and that's it. That's one spoon. That's it. It's over. That's food for the whole day. I remember the dark days. When those days come, will you still have faith? Will you maintain that hope, realizing that one day that will never happen again? Do you remember that? Will you remember that? Let us continue. Hebrews chapter 12. Hebrews chapter 12. And when we get to Hebrews, going to pick it up at verse 11. Now it says here, the chastening for the present seems to be joyous, or no chastening. It says now no chastening for the present seems to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward, it yielded the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby, the ones that it happened to. Now the chastening, when you're going through something, doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good at all. We don't like it. Doesn't feel good. And then we start wondering, why is this happening to me? Oh, what's going on? Why is it happening? It don't feel good right now. But there's the peaceable fruit of righteousness that comes after that. Maintaining in hope. See, sometimes if it's something happening to you, you know, I spoke to a person, or I should say I counseled a person before, and they was wondering, why are all these things happening to me? What's going on? I didn't do anything wrong. I don't know what I've done that where I deserve this. That was their cry. That was the same argument every single time. What if I haven't done anything? I haven't. See, one, that person did not want to humble themselves and consider the possibility that they may have done something. Didn't even want to humble them. No. And we counseled for a while. And this person said a few things, you know, from the past leading up to the present time that I was talking to him and everything. And yeah, there was there's some things. There's some things, okay? And I'm like, well, did you consider this? Did you consider that? No, I don't think he would even. No. That can't be it. I can't be it. So one, you can't even humble yourself that there's a possibility that you've done something. How innocent are you? What happened to our righteousness is a filthy rags. You think you've done everything perfect. We got to humble ourselves so we can get this. See, the suffering, that lesson, the particular lesson can be over with when you learn it. It's like in your school, you don't have to keep going over the same thing over and over and over and over. If you passed it, when you pass the test, it's okay. We move on to something else. So if you're getting hit over the head for the same thing over and over and over by the Most High, then obviously you didn't learn the lesson. It's something that he wants you to get, something to click in your head, and it's not doing it. It's not happening. So you get beat about the head about the same thing over and over and over. Humble yourself. There's got to be something in there that you have to glean. Something in there. But if you're not humble enough to get it, okay, you just... Sometimes life it will give you the test first and then the lesson afterwards. Are you learning it? Let's continue. We're over in Hebrews 12. Let's go to Matthew 17. Matthew 17. Now, when I go to Matthew 17, I'm just going to read verse 20. Then Jesus said unto them, because of your unbelief, for verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of a mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. These are the things that we're talking about. These are the things that we don't understand, that all you have to do is maintain some faith. Remember, it's impossible to believe God without faith, to please him. It's impossible to please him without it. So we're going to back up a little bit. Stay where you are, but we're going to back up a little bit so we can read this, and we'll go right back up to verse 20. Go to verse 9. And as they came down from the mountain, Jesus charged them, saying, tell the vision to no man until the Son of Man be risen again from the dead. And his disciples asked him, saying, why then, says the scribes, that Elias must come first? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Elias truly shall come first and restore all things. But I say unto you that Elias is come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer for them. So he's trying to teach them a lesson. Verse 13. Then the disciples understood that he spake unto them of John the Baptist. Absolutely. And when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man, kneeling down to him and saying, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is lunatic and sore vexed, for often he's fallen into the fire and oft into the water. And I brought him to thy disciples, and they could not cure him. Then Jesus answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with thee? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither to me. And Jesus rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. Then came the disciples of Jesus apart and said, why could not we cast him out? Okay, and that's when you get to verse 20. And Jesus said unto them, because of your unbelief, for verily I say unto you, if you have the faith as a grain of a mustard seed, ye shall say unto the mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible for you. Just having some faith, you can do wonderful, miraculous, awe-inspiring things if you simply continue in your faith. Continue in faith and hope. Let's go to Romans 17. We're going to come to that, and we're going to come to that same story again in Mark a little bit later. But let's go to Romans chapter 10. Romans chapter 10. Romans chapter 10. And I'm going to read verse 17. Romans 10 and 17 says, so then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Faith coming by hearing, and by hearing the word of God. And so obviously it's Paul just talking about this is how you're going to get it. How are you going to get that faith? You got to hear it. You got to hear it. Somebody's got to tell you something about this faith. Somebody needs to be standing up in the pulpit, reading this faith to you, letting you understand exactly what it is. Feeding you with knowledge and understanding. Feeding you so that you can have an appetite for this, to increase your faith. Why do we go through so many scriptures? Because we want to give it to you in a way that you understand. Why I title these lessons so you can be focused on a particular idea in the Bible, on a particular topic in the Bible. Why do we do it like this? Why do we read so much? Because how much do you read on your own? Are you getting understanding? Is your faith increasing? I'm not saying it cannot, but I'm just saying you can't get faith unless you're reading it or somebody's reading it to you, giving you some understanding, feeding you with knowledge and understanding. Otherwise, it's just words on the page. It's just gibberish to those who don't understand. Just like the eunuch, he's coming, he's riding in. And the disciple asked him and said, hey, do you understand what you're reading? He was reading Elias. He said, do you understand what you're reading? How can I unless a man teach me? I don't understand. It's just words. It's just words. So now you can have knowledge and understanding. These are the type of things that will feed and increase your faith. These are the things that can help you continue in this faith. That's why we give it to you. We stand up, like the scripture says, we stand up for to read. Hear a little, there a little. To increase your faith, to help you keep going. He said, I'm going to send you pastors that will feed you with knowledge and understanding. Let's go to Psalm 119. Psalm 119. Psalm 119. Psalm 119. And I'm going to pick it up at verse 15. Psalm 119, verse 15. Look at what it says. It says, I will meditate in thy precepts, and I have respect unto thy ways. I will delight myself in thy statutes. I will not forget thy word. Are we getting this? Are we getting this? 17. Deal bountifully with thy servant, that I may live in what? Keep thy word. Open thou mine eyes, that I may behold wondrous things out of thy law. That I may behold wondrous things out of thy law. I am a stranger in the earth, hide not thy commandments from me. My soul breaketh for the longing that it has unto thy judgments at all times. Thou hast rebuked the proud that are cursed, which do err from thy commandments. Removed from me reproach and contempt, for I have kept thy testimony. See, look at it. Remove those things from me, these bad things. You can pray, have them remove those things, because I seek your testimonies and your mercy and your word in your law. 23. Princes also did sit and speak against me, but thy servant did meditate in thy statutes. Of course, this is David talking. Thy testimonies also are my delight and my counselors. What? So you get counsel from the word of God? Is your delight and your counsel? This is what you're telling me? This is what we're reading here? 25. My soul cleaveth unto the dust. Quicken thou me according to thy word. So make him alive according to thy word. Make me alive according to your word. I have declared my ways, and thou heardest me. Teach me thy statutes. Look at his attitude. Look at the psalmist's attitude. Make me to understand the way of thy precepts. So shall I talk of thy wondrous works. My soul melted for heaviness. Strengthen thou me according unto thy word. Remove from me the way of lying, and grant me thy law graciously. I have chosen the way of truth. Thy judgments have I laid before thee. I have stuck unto thy testimonies. O Lord, put me not to shame. This is the attitude we need to maintain. 32. I will run the way of thy commandments when thou shalt enlarge my heart. Hello. 33, teach me, O Lord, the way of thy statutes, and I shall keep it unto the end. How long are you supposed to keep this? I will keep it until the day I die. This is a long, I said it's a marathon, people. I said it's a marathon. It's just not something where, oh, it's nice and cute and seems like everybody's doing it now and everything, and then everything's gonna be okay. Some people, they think they come into the way of the truth. They come into this knowledge. They get it, and it's nice at first. You know, it's bitter. You know, it's sweet at first, and then it turns bitter. Sweet to the tongue, then it's bitter when you have to really digest it. When you really have to understand. You really have to walk this out. Oh, it's great at first. It's wonderful, and then all of a sudden something happens. Remember the parable of the sower. It's great until something comes along and it shakes you. Oh, it's good at first. It's nice. Then something shakes you. Let's go back to Romans. Let's go back. You know what? We're going to finish it up here, though. We're going to finish it. Going to read the 40 and then finish it right here. Okay. Give me understanding, I shall keep thy law. Yea, I shall observe it with my whole heart. 35. Make me to go into the path of thy commandments, for therein do I delight. Do you have that? Do you have that attitude? Incline my heart unto thy testimonies and not to covetousness. Turn away my eyes from beholding vanity, and quicken thou me in thy way. Establish thy word unto thy servant, who is devoted to thy fear. Turn away my reproach, which I fear, for thy judgments are good. Oh, his judgments are good? Wait a minute. Is that the attitude that you have? His judgments are good? In verse 40, behold, I have longed after thy precepts. Quicken me in thy righteousness. Quicken me in thy righteousness. I'm sorry, his judgments are good? Is that what we're talking about here? You're going to go through something, brothers and sisters. Now, let's go to Romans chapter 10. Right after the book of Acts. Romans chapter 10. And when we get to chapter 10, I'm going to pick it up at verse 8. Romans 10 and 8. But what saith? The word is nigh thee, even in thy mouth and in thy heart. That is the word of faith. The word of what? The word of faith, which we preach. This is what I'm preaching to you now, brothers and sisters. The word of faith, continuing in your faith and hope. 9. That if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus, and shalt believe in thy heart that God has raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. If you believe, okay? If you believe, okay? There's a measure of faith. Let's go to 14. Now then, shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? That's an interesting question. He had an interesting set of questions right there. How are your faith and hope going to be renewed? How's that going to happen unless these things happen? He's asking the question. Let's do this. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? So you're trying to tell people of the Messiah. And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? Okay. And how shall they hear without a preacher? And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things, or the good news of good things, and what's going to happen. And so I'm trying to tell you the good news. I'm trying to tell you all this suffering, all this stuff will come to an end at some point. All of it's going to come to an end. But will you have your faith by the time it does come to the end? Will you still have your faith? Will you be right there standing on your faith? Because at the end, that's all we have. We have faith in a particular hope, and that hope is not a wishy-washy thing. It's a beautiful, awe-inspiring thing, but will you still believe? Will you maintain your faith until you get there? Will you walk in those precepts and those judgments until the end? Will you delight in these things first? There's a lot of questions there. There's a lot of ifs there. Question is, will you do it? There's a lot of ifs there. Let's move on. We're going to go on over to Mark chapter 9. Mark chapter 9. Let's look at that story again real quick, just in a different place. Mark chapter 9. He's trying to get you to increase your faith, increase your faith, increase your faith. That's what he's trying to do. That's what he is trying to do. Showing you. Chapter 9, we're going to pick it up at verse 14. Chapter 9, Mark chapter 9, verse 14, which reads, "And when he came to his disciples, he saw a great multitude about them, and the scribes questioning with them. And straightway all the people, when they beheld him, were greatly amazed, and running to him, saluted him. And he asked the disciples, What question ye with them? And one of the multitude answered and said, Master," because he said, well, what do you have? What's your question? What do you want? He said, "Master, I have brought unto thee my son, which has a dumb spirit. And wheresoever he taken him, he teareth him. And he foamed, and he gnashed his teeth, and pined away. And I spake to those disciples that they should cast him out, and they could not." So he said, my son, he has this terrible spirit, this dumb spirit. And everywhere we go, he's foaming at the mouth, he's gnashing his teeth, he's acting, let's trying to be politically correct there, okay? But he's acting in a very, very strange way, okay? 19, "And he answered him and said, O faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him unto me." So he said, how long am I going to be here? How long am I going to put up with you guys? Good gravy. Okay, bring the boy here. Bring him over here. Bring him to me. And what happened in verse 20? He said, "And they brought him unto him. And when he saw him, straightway the spirit tear him. And he fell on the ground and wallowed foaming." So he's foaming at the mouth. He's at the ground. He's foaming. It looks like a seizure. Okay, it looks like a seizure. 21, "And he asked his father, How long is it ago since this came unto him? And he said, Oh, of a child." How long has he been like this? He said, "Well, since he was a little kid, since he was a child." I mean, sorry, kid's a goat, but I'm talking a child. Since he was a child. 22, "And oft time it has cast him into the fire and into the waters to destroy him. But if thou can't do anything, have compassion on us and help us." He said, "Look, we could have burned him, drowned him, but if you can't do anything, please have mercy on us. Help us. We don't know what to do. We have no idea what to do." Verse 23, "Jesus said unto him, If thou believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. And straightway the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, I believe. Help thou my unbelief." I believe. Now help me with unbelief. So you got to have a little bit. He'll give you the rest. Got to have a little bit. Say, "I believe, would you help me with my unbelief?" When Jesus saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the foul spirit, saying unto him, Thou dumb and deaf spirit, I charge thee, come out of him and enter no more into him. And the spirit cried and rent him sore, and came out of him, and he was as one dead. Insomuch that many said, He is dead. So he was there, lifeless still. 27, but Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he arose. And when he was come into the house, his disciples asked him privately, Why could not we cast him out? And here's his answer. And he said unto them, This kind can come forth by nothing but by prayer and fasting. So he said, okay, it took prayer and fasting for this to happen. That's where some of your faith and your power come from. Do you do some prayer and fasting? I know I don't do it nearly enough. I need to do it more. Do I do prayer and fasting? Yes, I do. Do I do it enough? No, I don't. I need to do that even more. Okay, you want to increase your faith, you want to increase your power, you need to do more prayer and fasting. How you can continue in the faith. That's how you can continue in the faith and the hope. You know it's real. You know. When you have a personal experience, then you know it's real. And that'll keep you, that you will continue. But it's something that you're going to have to decide, brothers and sisters. It's going to be something you're going to have to decide. Because even when you have that evidence, even when you have it right in front of you, You can still walk away and not believe. You don't believe me? Jude walked with all the disciples all the time. Walked with Christ 3 years. Saw all the miracles. Saw all the casting out of devils and raising of the dead and walking on the water. Saw all that. And still at the end he walks away. Nothing. He don't believe. You understand? See, it's going to take on your part. You are required something. And in this case, you're required to take that little bit of faith you have and grow it. Take that little bit of faith seed you have and you continue to grow it. Lest it be plucked up. That's all it takes. You take that little bit of faith right there. It doesn't even matter. It's still up to you. You take it, you grow it, you continue in faith and hope. Let's continue. Let's go to our last couple places here. Proverbs 22. Proverbs chapter 22. Okay, when we get to Proverbs chapter 22, I'm going to pick it up at verse 8. He that soweth iniquity shall reap vanity, and the rod of his anger shall fail. Verse 9, he that hath a bountiful eye shall be blessed, for he giveth of his bread to the poor. See, this is one of those things that can help you, when you are giving alms and you're helping people. That kind of stuff comes up for a memorial. That kind of stuff the Lord sees when you do things like that. That's another thing that can increase your faith. It's another thing that can help you continue in hope. Matter of fact, it's the evidence that you have your faith and hope. The reason you do these things. That's the evidence that you even have faith at all. That you're walking in it. That you're walking in the word. That's the only way we know that you have faith. So your faith is shown. Your faith is an action word. It's an action. You have to exercise your faith. And just like exercise itself, you have to keep working on it and you get stronger and stronger and stronger. Some of you guys out there, you run and you lift weights and things like that, right? So you run on a treadmill. And when you do it consistently, what? You can run a little longer, you can run a little faster. You can go a little further. Why? Because you are exercising. Same thing with your faith. You exercise your faith. When negative things happen, exercise your faith. When trials come, exercise your faith. When you're feeling stuck, you're feeling stagnant, exercise your faith. When you don't know what to do next or what you're going to do, exercise your faith. That's what this is about, brothers and sisters. When you just like I said, I'll continue with the muscle analogy. Just you don't work out that muscle, atrophy. You don't do anything, atrophy. Nothing happens. Just like he said, just like the Messiah said in the parable, he said, some people, they have that word, but they don't do anything. It doesn't take root and they become fruitless. They let it get taken away and they become fruitless. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Oh, so did you hear about the faith? Yeah, I heard about it. Yeah, it's cool. You hear about the good news and all that? Yeah, that's how you see it, but other people feel other ways and people see things differently and okay. And then they bear no fruit. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. You're not living it. You are not actually living it. That's part of exercising your faith. Living your faith is exercising your faith. Living it. What does scripture say? Be ye doers of the word and not hearers only. That's how you exercise your faith. If you want to know, how do I continue in my faith and hope? That's how you do it. Go to Acts chapter 10. Acts chapter 10. Acts chapter 10. All right. When we get to 10, I'm going to Pick it up at verse 1. Acts 10:1, which reads, "There was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian band, a devout man, and one that feared God with all his house, which gave much alms to the people and prayed to God always. He saw in a vision, evidently about the 9th hour of the day, an angel of God coming into him and saying unto him, Cornelius. And when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, What is it, Lord? And he said unto him, Thy prayers and thy alms are come up for memorial before God." Hello. This is, I'm trying to get you to understand. Your prayers and your alms, when you're walking in the faith, that's how you're exercising it out. And when you're doing it, because when Messiah, when he comes, he says, "Who shall I find so doing? This is what he's looking for." And he said, look, your alms, your prayer, you prayed, okay? And he said, your prayers, your alms come up for a memorial, okay? Your well-doing, giving your bread to the poor, helping them out, exercising your faith. Why did he do all this? Because he believed in God. He believed these are the things that the Lord wanted him to do, okay? And we saw over in Proverbs that, alms giving, okay? You do that because you're exercising your faith. You're not buying salvation. You're exercising your faith. There's a difference. You're doing it because you believe, because you have faith. You're doing these things. Why are you doing all this? Because I believe, because I have faith. You hear me say it all the time. Why are you doing it? Why are you covering your head? Because I have faith. Because I believe. I believe the word. I believe the order. I believe. That's why. Why are you doing it at that dietary law? Because I have faith. I believe. Why don't you celebrate Christmas? Because I believe. Exercise your faith. Every time you're exercising your faith, every single time, living it, doing it. Why am I doing? Because I believe. Why are you doing that? Because I have faith. Why am I preaching the word? Because I believe. I believe it. I'm preaching it because I believe it. That's why I'm doing it. It's not that hard. Exercise your faith. Why? You better know your why. You better have your reason why and have it locked down. You want to know why? Because the enemy will come against you and have you questioning yourself, questioning your faith, and then when you get confused and you get befuddled, when the trials come, the tribulation come, the persecution come, when the world comes against you and you let them choke it out because you have the cares of the world on your mind, because you care nothing of what the word says anymore, because it has you afraid. Oh, well, people, they're going to talk bad about me, or they think I'm crazy or a kook or something like that, or they think I'm brainwashed. Guess what? That word's going to get choked right on out. But guess what? All that other advice, all that stuff that they have, it's your life. You're going to have to live. You have to stand in judgment for that. That's you. That you lost your faith. I mean, even Messiah's like, man, how long I'm going to have to be with you guys? You guys are just faithless. Y'all just have no faith. You don't believe in anything. How long am I going to suffer you? How long am I going to put up with you? So I'm asking you, and I'm telling you, I'm begging you, I beseech you, brothers and sisters, continue in your faith. And one of the best ways you're going to be able to do that, prayer, fasting, living it, being ye doers of the word. I can go on and on and on. I've given you scriptures. I'm giving you an idea. All these things, it hinges on you continuing. And this is a marathon. This is not a one-off. This is not a one-time shot. Oh, well, yeah, I got it. Oh, well, I profess the Lord as my Savior, and I'm good. I'm saved. No. You have to continue. This is a marathon. You got to keep going. How long? For as long as you're breathing. You have to continue. How long should I do this prayer and fasting? How long should I pray? Till you're done. How long should I fast? Until you're done. That's what it's going to take. You continue in your faith, in your hope. Keep going. Keep going. I'm encouraging you to keep going. Keep on believing. Keep on pushing. Keep on striving. Keep on grinding. Keep going. You have to, because you're going to be tested. You're going to be tested. This is why I'm trying to encourage you now. I'm trying to build you up now. I'm trying to edify you right now because you're going to be tested. It's going to come against you, and I don't want you to crumble. I don't want you to fall. I hope somebody has been edified in this. This lesson is continuing in faith and hope. And join me next time for the second part of it. Thank you, Israel. So until next time, search the scriptures and prove all things.